All right, I'm really getting tired of inhaling walnut dust, but I guess I got a lot more to go. Guess another little installment here of this table. I'm really worried about, I don't know if you can see it, I closed the garage door, but you can kind of see it right there. I'm really worried about the checking. So for folks that really aren't in the know on wood, right, when you checking is little cracks that occur that turn into big cracks, and they can split your wood apart, and they usually occur on end grains. So when you cut a log, like when your mill people cut logs, which this essentially is a small log, they put anchor seal or some sort of sealant on the end to try to keep and minimize the checking. Well, our humidity is going up and down and temperatures are going up and down, and I'm getting more and more checking. So I put some Danish oil. It's got just a little bit of, essentially it's linseed oil, has just a tad bit of shellac or varnish on it. I put that over the top just to try to kind of seal it a little bit. And I can sand it off. You can see over here where it's kind of sanded off. So I'm hoping that's going to hold for a little bit. I've got these two bow ties in for this massive check that goes across here. Actually got some glue curing right there. A couple other little glue spots. I've got one big massive check here that I need to put a bow tie in, and a couple other pretty good sized checks that don't make it all the way to the end, which is good. But I've got a pretty good check there. Another one there. It's still a ways away from the end, but I've got these here on the end that I'm worried about. So I've got a couple of little Paduke bow ties that I'm going to put in. So anyway, so that's kind of it. I haven't really figured out what I'm going to do with this side, because this one's checked and it's all goes all the way through. You can see it's starting to come down here. So I might do a little bow tie here and then maybe do another here on the side. I kind of have to figure out what these sides are. So there's a few things I got to do. I've got some tools coming and some parts coming. So there's a few things I've got to do. One, I've got a router bit edge cutter coming. I've used this router bit here. It's got a good edge cutter. It's what kind of hogged out all the middle. But I got another one coming that has a ball bearing on the very end of it. And what the ball bearing will do is it'll actually force it to follow the grain, so that when I flip this and I cut this over, I'll be able to route all this out, but it'll actually follow this grain right here, which is nice. So looking forward to that. I did actually go through and route this all out into a shape that I could cut a piece of wood to, so a panel. So that was a lot of breathing. It's not the squarest thing in the world, but then again, neither was the hole. So I kind of routed it out, had to free route out the curve here, but it's not too bad. But I was able to kind of get all those little edges down, as you can see, because I am going to fill this with a board. The bottom boards, this is the bottom, remember, so the bottom of the table. The top's underneath here. I'll show that to you at some point, but when I get done with the bottom. But anyway, so this is the bottom. I'm actually got some pretty nice white pine grade. It does have a couple of knot holes in it, but that's not too bad. But this is actually going to be the bottom of this. I got to cut it into pieces and make panels out of it. And essentially I'm going to take these boards, combine them with my furring strips up there, the wide furring strips, and essentially going to make kind of a 4-inch thick piece of plywood, if that makes sense, that's going to fit inside this. You'll see it when I do it, but essentially it's going to be a very 4-inch thick piece of wood that's going to slide right on in here. The top part of this is going to be this Paduke that I made recently. Made some breakfast trays out of. It's going to be Paduke, and then I'm going to have a bunch of arrows made that will be inlaid all over it in different types of wood that I have that will be inlaid all over the top. So there's like an arrow out of cherry, if you can kind of see it. I need to draw it better, but you can kind of get the idea. So I'm going to have a bunch of little arrows coming into it, not on the bottom, but on the top. So the bottom's going to be the pine. Give me a nice sturdy surface. No, I'm not going to do epoxy. I think I explained that in a different video. I'm going to actually fill it full of wood and try to keep the outside shape to be my heart. So anyway, so that's kind of where I'm at. A lot of concerns, really, honestly, about the weather. The humidity is putting a lot of moisture in this. I don't have a climate-controlled garage, and I want to drag this up into the living room. Although I had to do that to Cheryl's jewelry box at one point, but essentially, yeah, the humidity is putting moisture in this, then it dries out, and that causes the checking. So I got to get the checking under control, and then flip this and start working the other side. But I'm not in a huge hurry for that because I got to cut that other side out when I get that router bit. It's supposed to come, I think, on the 1st. So anyway, so that's coming in. Hopefully it'll be robust enough. The problem with this router bit is that it just cuts. It doesn't really follow along with anything. So that'll actually help me out. The other part is of course, is if I can cut this top panel out, or I should say the bottom, but if I can put this all together as a panel, get it over here and cut it out and get it to fit nice and snug, then I can actually use that router bit when I get the other panels and get the rest of the sort of, air quotes, plywood made. And what I mean by that is that all these boards are going to be glued together, cross grain. So anyway, once I get all that done, if I get one of them cut, I can use that other bit that has the ball bearing on it to cut, perfectly all of them and make it square. So that's kind of the thought. The good news, good thought is hopefully this is all square, and I'll have something that will just slide right on in here, and then put it together, and it should be pretty, and hopefully last for forever. So I don't know, but we'll see. It got a lot of work to do on it. Got a lot of work to kind of in a hurry, honestly. I'm a little anxious to spend a lot of money on this, and I don't really want to watch it all just crack to pieces. So I'm going to try to do what I can do to keep it solid. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, I'm sure more to come. Thanks.